Hey guys, what's happening? Thanks very much for joining me, and we're going to do something a little bit different, sort of filming wise, I guess. This is going back to when I used to do like vlogs and shit like that. But got another DIY project on the rip, and yeah, let's get you in on the ground floor. So when I did the Raspberry Pi, I did talk about wanting to get a Pandora box and sort of do the same kind of idea, run them side by side, see which one sort of performs the best. So I picked up this, so it's the DX Special. I think it's 5001. So I wanted to. This is more of like a plug and play solution, whereas the Raspberry Pi is very config heavy. It was a lot of fun doing the Raspberry Pi, but I just wanted to see if there was a simpler method and how well it would work. So picked one of these guys up. Now, I don't know if you can see all the ports in the back there, but it's not too bad. We've got an HDMI in the back there, a VGA if you want to plug it into an older monitor, a bit of an audio out, there's volume, there's a settings button which I'm not entirely sure what that does, and then there's 3 USBs. So if I shut her down, what I want to do is, come on you. So, the first thing I want to do, because I don't intend to keep this stock, there's a load of problems with Pandora Box, you know, it's slow, the emulators aren't great, aspect ratio for certain games is way off, like they've stretched vertical games so it'll go across an entire screen. So if I'm hooking it up to the likes of the big TV there, say something like Pac-Man's just gonna fucking stretch over the whole thing, which is no good. So what I want to do is install a kind of a mod from Team Pandori, so that's going to be onto that. So the first thing I need to do is, where are you? There, that is the memory card. So what I'm going to do is remove that. I'm going to take a backup of it, and then I'm going to install Pandori onto there. Now I will put in links to Pandori's videos explaining how to install it, the step by step, because they're going to be able to do it better than I can. So yeah, that's going to be the first step. So we'll just get that removed. The idea will be then to transfer it over there to my workstation, which is again absolutely covered in mess and wires and everything else. So we'll get it hooked up the exact same way that I had the Raspberry Pi set up onto the TV. If I can, we'll get the Legends Gamer Pro hooked into it as well and see how it runs. Like I said, I want to do like a compare and contrast kind of thing. So yeah, first things first, get the memory card out, get it backed up, and install Pandori. So we'll see what happens after that. Hopefully it shouldn't be too bad. See you in a bit. Okay, so yeah, back again. As seems to be the power of the course for any DIY project that I'm taking on at the moment, I had issues. Basically, when I was taking the backup of the memory card, my PC stopped reading the card. Tried it in a few other machines, same kind of issue, just kept coming up to say that the directory path was corrupted. Put it back into the Pandora box, tried to switch it on, it was the same way, couldn't read the file, so I thought I was completely screwed. The memory card does say that it's Kingston, it's a Kingston branded one, but it also says it's made in Taiwan, so I'm not 100% sure how legitimate it is. I'm going with it's not, but went onto a few forums and was able to get it semi-fixed. Basically, I cannot get the memory card to back up. It's taking too long to pull the files off, and it just seems to corrupt. So I'm not really confident on how well this thing's going to run for long periods of time, but I was able to get it stable enough for a bit to install Pandori. That all went well, that went as expected. The Pandori tool is really simple. Again, I will put the link to their video in the description so you'll know exactly how to do it. and just follow their steps. That's exactly what I did. So if we come over here, this is her at the moment. So I have it all sort of wired in. Power here, HDMI going up to the TV, and then I actually do have the Gamer Pro wired in as the control panel. So yeah, this is going to be it. So give a wee reach over, boink, and then I'll just set the HDMI to the right one, and TV warming up. Come on. Oh, we've got a signal. Oh, and there it is. That's Pandori. So I didn't actually turn on the... I didn't turn on the control deck. Whoops. This might not work. It might not recognize it coming on. I know the Pi doesn't like it. Oh, it does! Look at that! Oh my god. Oh my word, look how many fucking doubles there are of things. That's ridiculous. Okay, so yeah, look at that. We've got Pandori running. That's a really good thing. I'm now going to play around with it, get used to the controls, figure out a few games to try on it and things like that. Some classics, some kind of modern ones. I saw Tekken was on there, so I really want to try Tekken to see how that runs, because I did have problems with Tekken Tag on the Raspberry Pi. That was just really bombing out on me. So it'd be interesting if Tekken Tag is on there. I will give it a go and see how it runs. So yeah, yeah, I'll be back soon, and we'll see what this goes. I'll stop the video for a little bit, have a play around here, and then I'll come back and give you my thoughts on this. But I'm happy so far. I don't know how long it's gonna last with the issues I was having with the SD card, but we'll see. We'll see. I did have a bit of problem hooking up the Legends Gamer Pro into the Pandora box. Maybe it's because the two controllers go through a single USB. I'm not entirely sure, but I was able to hook up an Xbox 360 controller quite easily, so we at least get something running. We're able to try out the various games. Now, the Pandora box, I would say, if you are a fighting game aficionado or fan, this is definitely for you. There are hundreds and hundreds of fighting games. One thing I'm not entirely happy with is there's a load of duplicates on this. So you can see we've gone through a number of King of Fighters. We've just gone through them again. Oh, these are the AAS ones, but still there are a number of just duplicates. What I do really like about the Pandora box is that it has the various categories for different games. The Raspberry Pi and things like that would only have ones for the systems. Now you can develop or you can config custom ones, but it's tricky to do. It's nice that I can just go in and find shooting games and have them all selected for me. It's nice that it has a search function, which RetroPie really needed. Jumping into a game, you can see just in a second here, it will auto adjust itself to the correct aspect ratio depending on the screen that we're hooked up in. That is Pandora itself doing that. That is not part of the Pandora box's default OS or anything. Pandora really does help with the aspect ratio, which is one of the reasons I did want to get it installed and modded onto this machine. So I just jumped into a random shooting game. I am sort of getting into the shmups, and so this looked like a fun little game, and yeah, it works really well. So at the moment we're controlling everything through the Xbox controller, which is no big deal. I mean, I can go back and I can have a little look to see if we can get the Gamer Pro hooked up, but at the moment I'm happy enough just being able to control it and seeing how the games function. I like the ability just to pause and come straight out of it without having to hit hotkeys and things like that. It adds the game straight into my recent, so you can see I've gone through a couple of ones just as a test. The search function, really handy. The the categories I'm really liking. That's very cool. The menu system as a whole is actually quite intuitive. I do really like that. This was a game, Moo Moo Mesa, or Cowboys of Moo Moo Mesa. This was a game I wanted to try out because I know I experienced slowdown with RetroPie, so I just wanted to have a run through just to see if it was going to do the same thing. One thing to point out on this game and games like The Simpsons and things like that is they are configured for 4 players, and it must need one controller into each controller port. So player 1 will always choose, you know, the one character. So for Simpsons it'll be Marge, and for Moo Moo Mesa it'll be this dude here. The games are running really well. I need a bit more time with it. It's definitely one that I want to come back to and have a closer look at. For now, I think it's a fairly decent little piece of kit. Now, it's not config heavy as with the RetroPie and other ones that you can get for the Pi builds. It's very much a plug and play, which is what it was designed to be. I certainly wouldn't be picking it up for the £100 mark that some retailers are selling them for. I got them straight from the source, straight from China, so it was about £43 I think I picked it up for, and I think I did pretty well for that. It's a simple little device. I would highly recommend getting Pandori put onto the machine. It does help with a lot of the emulation issues, aspect ratios, things like that. I think what I'm going to do next is just take a little bit more time, maybe compare games on the RetroPie and the Pandori, just to see. I do want to give it a bit more time to see if I can figure out the issue with the Gamer Pro, see how it controls with accurate arcade controls, you know, things like that. Like I say, I'm fairly happy with it. I don't think I'll be taking it any further and building a cabinet around it. I think I do prefer the complexity and the ability to customize RetroPie and other operating systems on the Raspberry Pi. I do like the simplicity of the Pandora box for someone who's just wanting to stick this into an old broken arcade machine to bring it back to life. This is a great little piece of kit, and that's maybe what I'll do at some stage if I manage to pick up an old broken shell of an arcade machine, you know, that the monitor still works. Then yes, I think I'll give the Pandora box a home in there. I'm not going to build a dedicated cabinet for it. I'm much happier with RetroPie, but I think that's just my preference. I like having the control over the various ROMs. I like being able to customize control schemes, emulators, that kind of thing. There's a lot more I can do with RetroPie over Pandora, but I do think that if it's just yourself, you're not sort of into that big masses of config that you have to go through. You just want something simple that you can plug into a TV, an old arcade one-up machine that's died on you, to get it back up and running again, then this is absolutely perfect. Like I say, don't be going to the various retailers. You are going to pay a lot more, and you're going to get the exact same thing that you get direct from China. Look into the legitimate ones. The only problem with sort of AliExpress is that there are a lot of duplicates and knockoffs, which is what you kind of expect. So you do need to look for the legitimate Pandora ones if you're getting off that, but you'll find them cheap and they'll come over and they'll be absolutely fine. Anyway, what do you guys think? Have you any experience with the Pandora boxes? Do you think they're a good idea? Are you sort of leaning more towards the Raspberry Pi builds, the same as myself? I'd love to hear what you think. But anyway, thanks very much for joining me on this little journey. It's ended a wee bit sooner than I thought, but I think I just prefer the control, the nuances over RetroPie than I do for Pandori. But don't get me wrong, this is a great little piece of kit, and if you're wanting to do something quite simple, quite easy, it's definitely worth looking into as a plug and play solution. Anyway guys, thanks very much for joining me, and I will see you again. Bye bye for now.